What is something you wish the opposite sex understood better? We don't always control our dicks. Just because I have an erection doesn't always mean I'm thinking of K1Ls 3X or want to fav. And opposite, if I lose my erection during whatever games we are playing doesn't always mean that I suddenly find you repulsive or no longer want you. And a bonus inside tip, if a man does lose his erection for whatever reason, don't make it a point to say anything about it. Just act like it's all part of the plan, and usually it can work out. You start asking if anything is wrong, now it's a problem. Start saying things about being shy or anything like that, now it's a problem. Just roll with it and enjoy what happens. Holy sh*t every damn day. Hold on, can't hear you with the iPad going, the TV playing, and you're in the other room mumbling into the corner. Now admittedly part of the problem was my listening to music way too loud when I was younger, but it's not all me. This reminds me of a couple living in the house behind my office. Usually when I'm going outside for a break, I can hear them arguing. It's almost always the husband outside doing some chore and the wife yelling something at him and the husband yelling back, "Woman, I can't hear anything you're saying to me. If you want me to hear it, come here and tell me up close." Then the wife keeps yelling from the house, then the husband yelling, "Still can't hear you." Then eventually, he just stops what he was doing and marches inside to go inside and see what she wanted. Then he leaves yelling, "Why did you make me stop what I'm doing for that?" And her yelling, "Didn't tell you to stop what you're doing." Sometimes older couples are hilarious. Or try to talk to me while the TV is on, the exhaust fan is running, and you are facing into the refrigerator while speaking in a normal tone of voice. "If you can't see my face, I can't hear you. I have hearing aids, and it's still my fault that she has to repeat herself 90% of the time when talking to me. I can't hear any louder, you have to speak louder." You know, like when you have to say everything at a louder volume the second time, try using that volume the first time. My wife is the same. And now that we have kids, I've realized it's just with me. She speaks loudly and clearly to the kids, and I can hear perfectly what she's saying to them or shouting to them across the room. But she just mumbles to me or speaks in a normal soft voice from several rooms away. And to top it off, if I ever notice she's talking to me and ask her what she said, she only repeats the last word. Then she'll say the last word one or two more times, looking at me incredulously like I'm the idiot for not knowing what she's talking about when she's literally only saying one word. Clearly, I didn't hear the first 95% of the sentence and magically only missed the last word. You gotta gimme the whole thing, hun. Honestly, I've started to just respond to her with a random word when she does it. She'll be saying whatever her last word is, and I'll just be like, "Banana," or "papaya." Okay, maybe not quite random, as I tend to name fruits. I have a variant on that issue with my husband. He starts the sentence clearly and loudly and trails off at the end. I will ask him to repeat, but the only loud bit is the first bit I already heard. He then trails off again. I have sat there asking him to repeat 5 times in a row, stating that I couldn't hear the second half of the sentence, and he still won't tell me just the ending part. It drives me bonkers. I'm partially deaf sometimes. I can't hear people who are talking to me from 3 feet away. I think for people who aren't hearing impaired, there is this subconscious cue that you pick up on that tells you someone is talking to you if they start speaking before explicitly getting your attention. If I miss that cue, will tune out everything that was said because my brain thinks it wasn't directed at me. My girlfriend and I are both basically deaf in one ear. It's been really nice living with someone who understands that and doesn't try to talk to me from the other side of the house. Also lead to some really hilarious times where we both realized the other didn't hear anything that was said, and we were talking about 2 different things anyway. I have stopped responding in any way. We have already discussed how sound works, how the kitchen ceiling acts like a dome and makes hearing difficult, how the dishwasher is too loud to hear her in the kitchen, etc. She still tries to talk with me from across the house. So I just pretend I heard nothing. Usually I can tell someone is talking, but I don't know what they said. I'm tired of either saying WHAT or literally dropping what I'm doing to go retrieve the missed message. It's never important anyhow. If it is important, she can come to a location where I can hear her. This is a classic. Most of us understand what you mean, but there are reasons that this frustrating thing happens. There is a lot going on. A guy may be supporting his weight on one arm, holding an ass or entire female body in position with his other hand. Controlling angle, depth, pace, trying to come, avoiding a staring contest with your cat, wondering if your dog is about to lick him again, being totally engaged in the moment, whatever. Then you hear, just like that, and you have to suddenly make yourself consciously aware of the several different variables that you are simultaneously maintaining, of which several were non-conscious while your partner may be squirming or maneuvering. It's not deliberate, we are trying. We appreciate the communication, and are probably locking in those settings like 12-position luxury car seats to make it easier next time. A common thing is for a woman to say that just as you have changed something. Do you mean what you just started doing or what you were doing right until that moment? And usually if you change one thing you have changed others. I wasn't trying to suggest that failure to keep doing it just like that is unavoidable, particularly difficult, or really frequent. I was trying to give an example of what may be going on from the other side when this happens, because I grok how confusing and frustrating that could be. A good chunk of the men who need reassurance are most likely not getting enough compliments in the relationship. This isn't always the case, but I always felt insane dating certain people, and then with the right person who complimented me, is genuinely attracted to me, and initiated things, and who actually loves me. I'll think others weren't that attracted to me, even ex-fiancé, and I have never felt more confident and safe in a relationship. Looking back, my intuition was correct with the other people I dated, and that's why I never felt secure. I totally get what you mean. Before my current partner, I never felt secure in my relationships due to lack of reassurance and affirming actions, which led to spiraling and wondering why I wasn't good enough. I would push the feeling down and try different things to get their attention and approval, but it only made me feel worse when they were unresponsive to my efforts, leading to a toxic cycle. You say that the right person makes all the difference, and it's completely true. I've never felt more secure and comfortable in a relationship until now, and holy shit, what a world of difference it is to have a partner that makes you feel cherished and communicates their affection through words and actions. So happy that you've found your someone who makes you feel loved. Wrong people spend a lot more time in the dating pool, either because they don't want to have a relationship, faft boys, or because they get broken up with frequently character defects. The people you want tend not to return to the dating pool quickly once they find a great match. As a result, those wrong people represent 9/10 of your interactions. It's not that all men or women are ashholes. Everyone is meeting the same ashholes over and over again. Two people find each other and exit the mayhem together. I live in a town with a shallow dating pool, and my fiancés friends all date the same guys. There are like 100 active guys online, but they all swipe the same new guy who just hooks up with them all and leaves. It's so obvious what's going on, but to them all guys are jerks. Even though they have created a digital harem, they all compare notes, but it's stupid, because of course, they all have the same experience. This exactly. I don't have the link, but I remember reading something from someone who was FTM on here, and he was talking about how he thinks testosterone affects emotion, because he just stopped crying, feeling as volatile, etc. Throw in socialization on top of that for most men, and it's evident we're gonna feel things different. I'm not being some toxic male, I just don't cry. Nothing is wrong with that. This might be specific to me, but if I ask you out and you say no, that's it. Like there's no lingering weirdness or anything. If you're not interested in me romantically, that's fine. I'm perfectly cool just being friends. I won't be awkward or anything about it, won't bring it up to mutual friends. It was just a question. Friend zone isn't a bad thing all the time. Sometimes it's where the best friends come from. I also never got the hint. A few years ago, I was working as a cashier, and I was serving this guy who worked at a beer brewery. He was wearing a t-shirt with the beer brand, which I briefly mentioned just to make customer service small talk. He then said, "You should come by and have a drink, I'm working until late tonight." My dumb ass was thinking, oh, what an obscure thing to add to the end of the convo. It wasn't until 2 years later, when I wasn't even working at the supermarket anymore, that I realized that he was basically asking me out, not my brightest moment. Before my wife and I were actually dating, we talked regularly at work. She was asking me about my hobbies and I mentioned playing League of Legends. She says, "Oh, maybe I could come over and you could teach me to play it sometime." Yeah, sure. So she shows up and for some reason she doesn't seem very interested in the game she came to learn how to play. Keeps talking to me, putting her hand on my arm instead of on the keyboard or mouse where it should be. Nothing happened that night, but when I asked her out like a month later, she was like, "Oh, I thought you weren't interested because you kept brushing me off while teaching that game." Well, obviously you came for game lessons, not hanky-panky. No, I was definitely there. 1 in 10 women have endometriosis, which is a debilitating condition where the womb lining grows outside the womb. It's kinda like cancer in that cells are growing where they shouldn't be, but not lethal like cancer is. That womb lining grows around organs, nerves, blood vessels. But the pain and suffering caused by this condition absolutely can lead to death because of the risk of suicide. My wife has suffered with it for the last 2 decades we've been together, so I'm commenting to raise awareness of this horrible condition. So for any women reading this comment, if you are passing out from the pain from your period, it can absolutely be a reason to talk to your doctor, but it takes on average 7 years to actually be diagnosed with endometriosis, so expect your doctor to gaslight you into thinking this is normal and fob you off with pink one lures. The only current way to be diagnosed, to my knowledge, is by having exploratory surgery. The problem is that most gynecology surgeons also have very little clue what they're looking for, and it's really hard to spot with the tiny bit showing and the rest growing beneath the surface. My wife had the exploratory surgery, and the surgeon said that she didn't find any sign of endo, just a blood-filled cyst that she drained. Another doctor years later said he was going to do the same surgery because he believed she had endo, and my wife said it had been done already. The doctor just said, "I believe you have endometriosis, so I'm doing the surgery." And he was right. We did a Google, and a blood-filled cyst, or a chocolate cyst, is a sign of endo, so the first surgeon had no clue what she was looking for. 1 in 10 women have endometriosis. Oh my god, that moment when you sleep in only to realize you forgot to take Advil at 7 a.m., but it's too late, the small cramps have begun, so you scramble to take some Advil. But in 10 minutes, the big cramps take effect, and you're basically rocking back and forth in agony for an hour waiting for the Advil to kick in and praying you don't throw it up. Good times. When you get to know and like someone, you start wanting to maintain their approval, their positive view of you. I don't care much if a stranger disapproves of my thoughts or actions, so venting to one is easy. But for some people, perhaps people who grew up with harshly judgmental parents, for example, they fear their loved ones will stop loving them if they express the wrong thoughts or feelings. Keeping their positive regard becomes more important than being direct and honest. It's easier to vent to strangers. You don't really care if they judge you or not, whereas with those close to you may look at you differently or judge you harshly. Venting to a stranger is just that, venting. Getting someone you know to listen while you're just venting and not really looking for a response can be a bit harder, let alone them being able to receive it without wanting to follow up. It's like I want to vent about the person I may be irritated with, but the only person I can talk to happens to be that same person. Sometimes you don't want feedback. I really just say this from my own experience. Saw this feminist article about how men have K1Ls 3X for ego, and women have K1Ls 3X for connection. No, I can't speak for all men, but I certainly don't think about it like that at all. I want connection too. I think that's what we're all searching for in one way or another. I did not expect to attract that much interest here. I did oversimplify what I took away from the article, but I still really did not like what it said about men. I'll try to find it again, and I'll put it here if I do. I know how gimmicky this sounds, but find out his love language. Telling him how much you appreciate him might be enough. Acts of love like making him his lunch might do it. Physical touch like a hug and kiss could do it as well. Everyone is different, and y'all would benefit so much from understanding each other's love language and how to best show affection for one another. It works the other way around too. I've fallen for this with one of my coaches. There was a team which I was unknowingly a part of, and he was such an awesome coach to those people. I had no idea why some people hated him. Till I started realizing if you weren't on his team he either ignored you or treated you like absolute garbage. A guy would lose a match and he would take him aside and yell at him, basically calling him useless. If you didn't do something properly, he'd roll his eyes and say real athletic and walk away. He was two different people in the same room. I lost all respect for him. I noted this with my girlfriend. I can sit on the couch with the TV on and her next to me, and to me that's special and meaningful time together. I also like night drives together, walks, cooking dinner together, cuddling with our dog together, etc. Just general mundane things with her. For her though, she's often on her phone wanting to go on dates. So that means men and women, or at least her and I, have different ideas of what meaningful time together means. She wants or needs designated, defined, special time, or a date. Whereas I want or need just her, or in other words, every moment we spend together is a date. So we make an effort to go out together once a week at least. I cringe at the price amount some nights, but it makes her happy. As a man, I'm tired of making the first move on things such as intimacy. Let us know you're involved and interested and want us by being the ones to initiate. Had the wife just remain naked in a hair towel and lay on the bed while I got dressed on her phone. She does this a lot and sometimes I get declined when I initiate. But other times she wants smexy time. Like, I understand what you're trying to do. But what you're doing is trying to set up a scenario where I still make the first move. And I don't like the gamble and mind games. Tell me or show me in a more apparent way that I'm wanted. This is why online dating sucks. The I don't message first, women are the fucking worst. Of all the matches I had, the only ones who were interesting enough for me to go out with were the ones who messaged me first. They genuinely wanted to talk to me, and I didn't feel like I was begging them for attention. I really wish that my wife would understand that I need to feel wanted to, and that additionally, while when I was young and single, K1L's 3X was about fun, and K1L's 3 Zool gratification, and the confines of a marriage, it is about that, but also about a connection to the person I love. Neither of those things are being given to me right now by my wife, and I feel very alone. As far as she's concerned, I am a provider, and I don't need any of the above, nor do I deserve it. I wish men were not so pressured to think their value is based on their K1L's 3 Zool performance. Us good empathetic ladies love men for them, not for the size of their genitals or how long they last. Don't listen to or put value in the people out there who manipulate and shame men over K1L's 3 Zool performance. They are not worth your time. Find yourself a good partner who actually loves you for you. I took a girlfriend on her dream vacation for her birthday and it cost me $4,000. On my birthday, she bought some cheap K1L's 3's Angel costume, and K1L's 3X was my only present. I was sick on my birthday and told her I didn't feel like having K1L's 3X, and she got really mad at me. We got in a fight, and I told her that K1L's 3X isn't a present, and K1L's 3X with her isn't worth anywhere close to $4,000 that I spend on her birthday. We broke up that week. Kindness does not equal attraction. I'm a male, and more often than not females assume my kindness is just a method to get into their pants. It's not, and by assuming that you've definitely made me uninterested, I'm certain it works the other way around as well. When she asks me what I'm thinking about and I say nothing, I literally mean nothing. Other men I've talked to about this seem to have the same ability and women don't. My brain can go into a weird standby state where there are no active thoughts, just static. I'm still aware of external stimuli, but not processing anything but the most pertinent information. Like if someone says my name, or if something unexpected moves in my peripheral vision, I'll react with the same speed, as if I were paying close attention to my surroundings. But I'm not sitting there thinking about sports, guns, K1L's 3X, music, cars, lumber, video games, beards, or whatever else my wife assumes I'm thinking about all the time. Just nothing. Oh, that's really annoying. My sister is straight and used to practically fetishize gay men, always going to gay bars and acting like an idiot. I don't think she was much into like touching people, but she was really annoying. You know what kind of person I mean? It's way too common. I hate the flip side of this coin too. Those same women sometimes stumble into lesbian events or events that center queer women and get mad when one of us flirts with them. I mean, they walked into a place where that's kind of the point. What did they expect? I feel like this particular brand of straight women needs to just stay in the suburbs and call it good. Early on, we just agreed on how we want the toilet to be, and that if we noticed something off, we wouldn't tell one another unless there's a pattern of it happening multiple times in a row. That includes if the toilet isn't flushed, if the toilet brush hasn't been used even though it was needed, if the lid is open, etc. It's worked well to minimize irritation. I'm pretty open-minded. If any astrologists want to try to prove me wrong, would be happy to get a reading again. I got a professional reading once for fun though, and damn literally nothing fit. I know the main astrology complaint is that everything is too vague so it could fit anyone, but really not a single part of it was accurate. I was pretty shocked at that. Even though I was skeptical to begin with, I thought surely something would be slightly accurate and give me a fun idea to play with, but nope. The professional seemed to get pretty annoyed when I informed her she was wrong and said that it was because I see myself through the eyes of others, so I asked others. They didn't find it accurate either. Recently, I had a conversation with my girlfriend about boners, and she asked why I had one and said with full confidence that they don't just come out of nowhere. I kindly explained to her that in fact, they do come out of nowhere, and there isn't always a reason for one. I know women are women and aren't men unless they choose to be, but I wish they'd understand more things about the male body. Periods. I find it crazy how immature and uneducated guys are about them. For a friend of mine literally almost believed me when I said that my guts were getting rearranged. I meant it as a joke BC of how painful it was, and if I had lied he would have believed me. It's so dumb how at schools they separate the boys and girls to learn about how their bodies work. To be honest, cause because of it there is so much misinformation and just ignorance about these subjects. I wish women understood how hard we try to be enough for them. Some men don't have an easy life and have to struggle a lot to even take you on a date. Please value the effort a man does to make you happy. Yes, some men don't have to struggle, they are financially well off, and taking you out for dinner is a pretty easy thing. But most of us don't have it easy, and we have to work out asses off to give you a gift or take you out. Please understand the effort we do. Touch intimacy initiation. Women, for the love of God, touch your man. Hug him, his back, put your hand on his knee, hold his hand, rub his penis, his belly, his thighs, etc. In intimate moments. Kiss him frequently, randomly, and especially during intimate time. Initiate the intimate times. Don't just lay on your back like a log and expect pussy to be enough. We are nearly all heavy touch-driven creatures. Beyond that, stop degrading and start celebrating. 99% of a man's life is not being good enough. Be the one to tell him early and often that he isn't more. That I've been hurt before. Like, I know it's not your problem, I know I need to get over my past experiences, and I know you aren't at fault, but I'm still gonna do what I need to do to protect myself and ensure I don't get hurt again. Like, I feel like so many women have a get over it attitude when I tell them my ex lied about being assaulted. She told me her ex had assaulted her, and I stayed in a K1L3 zealous relationship because I thought it's what I was supposed to do. I thought that gut feeling was me being the worst type of guy. When she told me the truth, that she cheated, I almost cried because I knew it all along, and to know it just broke me. When I say, I don't like being exclusive until I know we are active K1Ls3 Zuli, so many women act like I'm the worst type of guy in the world, as if I can't be loyal, but the truth is, I'm afraid of getting into an exclusive relationship and being lied to again. She used me because I'm the type of guy who stays when you're struggling. She used me because she could. Just like you can't tell a potential woman beater or stalker or assaulter from a normal dude. I can't tell the difference between someone who's gonna use me and someone who won't. Sorry about the long comment. Just hurts sometimes. You must not internalize other people's opinions. They're entitled to their own thoughts and standards, just like you are, and them sticking to their boundaries and not settling for something that doesn't work for them doesn't mean they think you're the worst type of guy in the world. It's okay to feel how you feel and to do what you need to do to protect yourself. If you don't believe that, you can't expect others to. Also, maybe it goes without saying, but you don't have to stay in a relationship indefinitely if you feel like you're being lied to, or if you're not getting your needs met. K1Ls 3 Zuli, if your gut is telling you something is off, you can just leave. It doesn't make you a bad person. That having an outlet for intimacy needs really is not that easy for men. I feel like the perspective women have on dating is entirely colored by the average woman's experience of being able to get that pretty easily from someone, even if it is only temporary, and that's not even to mention platonic intimacy with friends. It's hard to describe what it's like to go without it for a long period of time to someone who has never had to do so, or does so by choice. Like, even just knowing you're wanted or desired by someone can satiate that to some degree. Feeling invisible sucks. I'm not really going through that now, and I do think some women get it, but I feel like there's this whole conversation that a lot of women aren't really willing to acknowledge. They feel like it's tied in with the whole capital I incel sort of thing. That movement actually has definitely some deranged-ity as well, for sure. Reasonable points at its base, but the way that they assign blame and what they look to for solutions are terrible. Communication is key to a healthy relationship. This is directed at both K1Ls 3s, but generally from what I have seen, women tend to be worse. I think some other comment said it, but if you have an issue with me, first tell me. Do you expect God to visit me in my dream and inform me? How will I change if I don't know what to change? Also, both guys and girls should have security in their relationship. Let your partner hang out with members of all genders. They are your girlfriend or boyfriend, not your property. However, you should be able to trust that even if they are going to a movie or dinner with their friends, they are loyal to you. That only comes from communication. If, say, you found someone better and you have an urge to be with them, tell me, and formally break up with me before hooking up with them. At least that way I am free. Keeping me trapped in the relationship while you are back on the dating scene is just devious, and perhaps most importantly, don't let things foster. Constantly remind your partner that you love them, and that despite all the other people on the planet, they are the one you chose, and thus special. The frequency of said reminders depends on the kind of person they are, but don't neglect doing this. Keep trying new things, experiencing new things. Don't let things get stale. I personally feel that 90% of the problems in a normal relationship between two sane people can be solved with better communication and some mutual respect and willingness to compromise. Us women know that our periods can make us more emotional. We know the hormones fav us up. The reason we get so angry when you point this out is because it feels like you're invalidating our feelings. Just because our hormones cause this emotional breakdown doesn't mean that we aren't suffering, and it doesn't help when you point out the logical reasons for our suffering when all we really want is comfort. That we women have statistical, evidential reason to be scared of men. It's not that you seem creepy or that we think you specifically are going to do something bad. It's that it happens every day with alarming frequency, and I'd rather be safe than sorry. Please don't be offended if I want to text a picture of your license plate to a friend, or if a friend checks in on me every hour while I'm with you, or if I don't want to go to your house on the first date. I promise. If women are going on a date with you, it's not you. It is just statistics. We don't want to be another statistic. Just because I'm being nice to you doesn't mean I want in your pants. Sure, it goes both ways, but throughout my life, there's been many girls that get all weird and dismissive with me when they think I'm trying to hit on them when that isn't even the case. I understand there's a lot of weird guys out there, but not all of us are faft boys either. Whenever I have a girlfriend around, then all of a sudden girls are suddenly interested in having normal conversations with me, because then they know I'm probably not flirting with them.